Alright, so I've wanted to do video reviews for movies for a little while now, and I've just never really gotten around to it. Seen a lot of movies, had my fair share of opinions about those movies, but I've just been too lazy to do anything about it. Well, that ends now. That and my girlfriend took me for a pedicure today, so I'm feeling like I need to do something a little bit more up my alley. But hey, at least my feet are really soft. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that when Hollywood wants to adapt an existing property, they're not gonna remain 100% accurate to the source material. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, it bugged me with the Spider-Man movies, it bugged me with the Resident Evil movies, and a whole bunch of other movies, and honestly, I'm sick of it ruining my experience with some movies that are actually pretty decent. If I had gone into this movie with that attitude, I would have hated it, because this movie changed a lot. So, in case you can't read, this is a review for the brand new Ninja Turtles movie. Now, I'll start off by saying that when this movie first got announced and had all that internet buzz going around about it, like the Turtles were going to be aliens and Megan Fox was being cast as April O'Neil and Michael Bay was going to produce and William Fichtner was going to be Shredder, I was kind of like, But then some time passed and eventually we got our first teaser trailer and I was like, and then even more time passed and we got a full-length trailer for the movie and I was more like, I thought it looked interesting, entertaining at least. Like a lot of people, my first reaction to seeing the new design of the Turtles was immediate dislike. But after a while, about as long as it took me to watch the trailer a second time, I shrugged it off and accepted it. The bottom line is, this isn't a sequel to the 1990 movie. Actually, I don't even know if you can call it a reboot or a remake, considering it's based off a comic book from 1984, which the cartoon was also based off of, that the 1990 movie was also based off. So can you even call it a reboot or a remake? I guess a reboot for film audiences. Sure, okay, let's go with that. So if you're expecting a sequel to that 1990 movie or an extremely faithful adaptation to the 1984 comic book, yeah, you're going to be extremely disappointed. And I just don't get that. Well, I mean, I do. Those Spider-Man movies did get to me. But like I said, we, or at least I, need to start accepting that this is how Hollywood is going to do things. It's just the way it is. It's another person's vision of that source material. And this new vision, for any movie really, doesn't cause those stories that came before it to cease to exist. They're still there. So if you can't possibly be swayed to enjoy this new version, just go watch the original 1990 movie or read the original 1984 comic book. They're always going to be there. They're not going anywhere. So with that out of the way, let's actually talk about this movie. For the most part, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was pretty enjoyable. It had some decent fights, great action scenes, and a really cool scene on a mountain, and the Turtles' personalities with each other were really actually well done. I will say this, Leonardo has always been my favorite turtle, hands down. And Raph has always been the badass, and for me that's always been like, yeah, okay, he's the badass. But the Raph in this movie, bad ass. Probably my favorite iteration I've ever seen of the character, and I'm hoping the Raphael fans out there will agree with me. Megan Fox does fine in the movie. She's a perfectly functional April O'Neil. She actually seemed like she was having fun playing the character. There's actually a pretty funny moment between her and her roommate where April is acting all crazy because she's just met the turtles for the first time and she's going a mile a minute. They're 6 feet tall, talking turtles, they eat pizza, and they're named after the Renaissance artists! And her roommate's just kind of like... It was actually pretty funny. Anyway, now Will Arnett was fine as Vern. I've seen him in a lot of stuff before, and he honestly was just not utilized properly here. But, you know, he served his purpose well enough. Whoopi Goldberg as April and Vern's boss, forget about it. I did. No, I mean, like, literally, once the movie ended, I had totally forgotten she'd even been in the movie. Now, I'm just going to clear this up right now, and if you don't want spoilers, then hit the mute button or fast forward like 10 seconds. William Fichtner? Not Shredder. I'm not sure how that rumor got started. I think it was a tweet. But no, William Fichtner, not Shredder. He's a scientist that's working with city officials to help fight the looming threat of the Foot Clan. Now, I'm a big William Fichtner fan, so I did enjoy him in this movie, but again, very similar to Will Arnett, he was extremely underutilized. Given a little bit more to work with, he would have been that much more enjoyable to watch. So that brings me to my biggest complaint overall, and that is that I really think this movie could have benefited from being a little bit longer. Now don't get me wrong, I hate it when a movie wears out its welcome, but after having seen Guardians of the Galaxy last week, that ran at 2 hours and was an origin story and is amazing, Ninja Turtles probably could have benefited from being like 20 minutes or so longer to help flesh out some of the characters, namely Shredder. Sure, he looks cool and badass, but you don't really get to know much about him or what his motivations are outside of the small reference that at some point he was a bad dude in Japan. And to make a villain truly shine, you gotta know where they're coming from, or at least have them do something really villainous. Not here. It felt like this movie just kind of expected us to know that Shredder's a bad guy and that's that. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more development there. Then again, this movie is 1 hour and 40 minutes long, and I guess that's kind of long considering it's a kid's movie. How do I know it's a movie meant for kids? Well, it's based on stories that were meant for kids when I was a kid, and stories that are meant for kids now. Actually, check out the new CG cartoon, it's pretty rad. But that's how I know it's for kids. Well, that and the fact that all the trailers before the movie were for kids' movies. SpongeBob in real life. Okay. Now, I will mention it one more time for those that do care when liberties are taken. If you dislike pesky little things, like, for example, in the original Sam Raimi directed Spider-Man movies, when the Green Goblin dies from his glider flying into him, it stabs him in the stomach, whereas in the comic book, it stabbed him in the chest. Bugged the living shit out of me. Hey, shut up. These things matter. No? Fine. But if you don't like it when they change small things, I will warn you, without spoiling anything, they change some big things in this movie. Namely, how the Turtles became the Ninja Turtles. No, they're not aliens, but origin story, totally different. See, now I'm okay with that because that falls into that whole category of, basing something off of the source material and making it their own. So in the world of this Ninja Turtles movie, the origin story and how it plays out works really well. But if you're a huge fan and you're expecting that origin story to be intact, don't go see this movie. So to wrap it all up, I will say that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a good time while I was watching it, but it didn't blow my socks off. Maybe I'm just still really spoiled from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just kind of middle of the road when it comes to summer blockbuster movies. But if you got kids that are into Turtles right now, they're going to have a blast. I will say 7 out of 10, but I will also recommend that you save those hard-earned dollars and go check it out in the cheap seats. So, that's the first video review, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're going to have a bunch more coming on the next video. Sarah's actually going to join me. She picked up the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die the other night, and we figured it'd be a fun time to go through and try to watch all those movies. It's only going to take us 3 years at a movie a day. After we watch the movies, we'll throw up one of these video reviews to let you guys know what we thought about that movie. So the next one is actually going to be Repulsion, 1965, Roman Polanski. So make sure you come back and check that out in the next couple days. Talk to you guys soon.